The massive space station called Nexus Prime floated in the darkness between stars. Inside its crystal walls, creatures from dozens of different worlds gathered in a huge round room. Some looked like giant insects with glowing shells. Others were made of pure light, trapped in glass bodies. A few had tentacles that moved like snakes, and some were so strange that humans would have nightmares just looking at them. Commander Veltar stood at the center of the room. His body looked like a cross between a crab and a spider, but the size of a small building. Patterns of blue and green light flashed across his hard shell as he spoke to the others through their minds. "Look at these pathetic creatures," he said, making a hologram appear in the air above them. The image showed Earth floating in space, with tiny metal objects orbiting around it. They call themselves humans. They still burn dead plants to fly into space. Laughter filled the room, but not the kind humans would recognize. Some aliens made clicking sounds, others buzzed like angry bees, and a few just glowed brighter with amusement. High Counselor Zixmoth waved her purple tentacles in the air. She was older than some planets and had seen 1,000 species rise and fall. "I watch their radio signals for fun," she said. "They broadcast their entertainment shows and argue about sports on public channels. They have no idea how to keep secrets." The Zephyrian delegate was a living crystal that stood 3 meters tall. Light danced inside his body as he shared his thoughts. "Their military is even worse. They think nuclear weapons are scary. We harvest the power of entire suns for breakfast." More laughter echoed through the chamber. "These beings, humans, were like ants trying to threaten elephants." "They do not even know we exist," said another alien who looked like a floating jellyfish made of metal. "For 50 years they have been sending radio signals into space, hoping someone will answer. They are like children calling into an empty cave." Commander Veltar's lights flashed in patterns of superiority. "My scouts have been watching them for months. They have a few space stations, some satellites, and weapons that could not scratch the paint on our smallest ships. They fight wars with bullets and explosives." Bullets. Can you imagine? The room erupted in more alien laughter. Some species had not used physical weapons for thousands of years. The idea of throwing metal at enemies seemed as primitive as using rocks. "What should we do with them?" asked a creature that looked like a walking tree made of silver. "They are spreading to other planets in their system. Soon they might try to leave it entirely." "That is exactly why we are here," Veltar replied. His shell flashed red with anger. "These humans breed like a virus. They destroy their own planet, and now look toward others. They are dangerous in their stupidity." High Counselor Zixmoth's tentacles curled in thought. "Dangerous. They cannot even detect our ships when we observe them. Their sensors are so primitive they think space is mostly empty." "That is not the point," Veltar insisted. "Primitive species can be the most unpredictable. They do not follow the rules of civilized warfare. They might try anything." The crystal being pulsed with dismissive light. "What could they possibly do? Their fastest ships take months to reach their own moon. We cross galaxies in days." "Still," said the metal jellyfish, "perhaps we should eliminate them before they become a problem. It would be quick and merciful." "Or we could study them," suggested another alien. "Primitive species sometimes develop interesting solutions to simple problems. They might be amusing to watch." The debate continued for hours. Some wanted to destroy humanity immediately. Others thought humans might be useful as slaves or test subjects. A few suggested leaving them alone entirely, like insects in a garden. Finally, Commander Veltar raised his claws for silence. "I propose the Silence Protocol. We jam all their communications beyond their solar system. Let them think they are alone while we decide their fate. If they try to leave their system, we will know immediately." The vote was unanimous. Every species agreed that humans were too primitive to be a real threat, but annoying enough to need. "Watching it is decided," Veltar announced. "The humans will be silenced. My fleet will position itself to observe their reactions. Perhaps their response will help us decide whether to keep them as pets or eliminate them entirely." As the council meeting ended, the aliens departed to their various ships and worlds. None of them noticed the small distortion in space just outside their station. was barely visible, like heat waves on a summer day, and their sensors registered. Nothing unusual. Deep in the Pacific Ocean on Earth, Dr. Kim Hanna watched the alien meeting end on her screens. She had heard every word through devices humanity had secretly placed throughout the galaxy decades ago. Her fingers moved quickly across her controls as she sent a coded message to facilities hidden around the world. "They have taken the bait," she whispered to herself. "They think we are deaf and blind. Time to show them what human silence really means." In the darkness of space, the aliens had made their first and last mistake. They had underestimated humanity. The moment all satellite communications went dead, emergency lights began flashing in secret bunkers across Earth, from the frozen wasteland of Antarctica to the burning deserts of Africa. Massive doors that had been sealed for decades suddenly opened with the grinding sound of ancient machinery. Captain Li Juan felt the floor vibrate beneath her feet as she stood in the command center buried 3 kilometers under the Pacific Ocean. Around her, dozens of technicians worked at glowing screens while red warning lights painted everything in an eerie glow. She had been waiting for this moment for 15 years. Ever since she graduated from the secret military academy that did not officially exist. "All stations report ready, Captain," said her second-in-command, Lieutenant Cho Minsu. He was barely 30 years old, but his eyes held the weight of someone who had trained his entire life for a war that might never come. Until now. "Open the bay doors," Captain Lee ordered. The ocean floor split apart like a giant mouth. Water rushed away as massive pumps created an air-filled chamber large enough to hold a small city. Slowly, like a whale rising from the depths, the warship Indomitable emerged into the artificial cave. The ship looked nothing like the rockets and shuttles the world knew about. It was smooth and black, shaped like a teardrop that stretched for 2 kilometers. Its surface seemed to bend. Light around it, making it hard to look at directly. Even in the bright lights of the underwater facility, the ship appeared to fade in and out of existence. "She is beautiful," whispered Dr. Kong Taiho, the ship's chief scientist. He had spent 20 years developing the technology that made the vessel possible. It's completely invisible to any sensor system the aliens use. Captain Lee nodded as she watched her crew board the ship through hidden tunnels. These were not ordinary sailors or pilots. Every person had been chosen as a child and trained in secret schools. They spoke alien languages, understood alien technology, and had studied enemy weaknesses for decades. "How many ships are ready?" she asked. 57 in total, Cho Minsu replied, checking his tablet. "Each one different, each one designed for a specific mission. The aliens think we barely have space stations. They have no idea we have been building a fleet for 30 years. In another part of the facility, General Park Min-ho stood before a wall of screens showing similar scenes around the world. Ships were rising from underground lakes in Siberia, emerging from artificial caves in the Rocky Mountains, and surfacing from hidden bases in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Each vessel was a masterpiece of engineering that used principles alien science had never discovered. "Dr. Kim, what is the status of our listening posts?" the general asked. Dr. Kim Hanna looked up from her control station. Was the head of Project Prometheus, the secret program that had been preparing for this day since the 1960s. Her grandmother had been one of the original scientists who first detected alien transmissions and realized humanity was not alone. "All 43 deep space monitors are operational," she reported. "We have been recording every alien communication for decades. We know their languages, their technology, their military formations, and most importantly, their weaknesses." General smiled grimly. "They know nothing about us." "Less than nothing," Dr. Kim replied. "They think we are primitive because we let them think that. Every rocket launch, every satellite, every space station they have observed was designed to make us look weak and stupid. Meanwhile, we have been traveling between stars for 30 years. On the main screen, a map of the galaxy appeared with small dots of light marking human positions. There were hundreds of them, scattered across dozens of star systems. Ships, listening posts, hidden bases, all completely invisible to alien sensors. "The beauty of our plan," continued Dr. Kim, "is that they use their own arrogance against themselves. They assumed their technology was the best possible. They never considered that a primitive species might find completely different solutions to the same problems. Captain Lee finished her pre-flight checks and opened a communication channel to all human ships. This is Captain Lee of the Indomitable. For 30 years, we have watched and waited. The aliens think our silence means we are weak. We show them what human silence really means. Across the galaxy, invisible human ships began moving into position. They had been there all along, watching alien worlds, studying their defenses, preparing for the moment when humanity would reveal itself. The aliens had made a fatal mistake. They had given humanity time to prepare, time to learn, and time to become something far more dangerous than they could imagine. While they debated whether to keep humans as pets or destroy them entirely, humanity had been planning something much more ambitious. The Silent Fleet was ready. 57 ships crewed by people who had trained their entire lives for this moment. Ships that could travel faster than light without the exotic matter aliens thought was necessary. Ships that could hide in plain sight and strike from the shadows. All ships. This is General Park. Execute Phase 1. Show them that Earth's children have been very, very busy. One by one, the human ships vanished into hyperspace, heading toward alien worlds that had no idea they were about to receive visitors. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity's greatest weapon was not their technology, but their patience. Captain Yoon Sora floated in the darkness between stars, watching the enemy fleet through her ship's invisible eyes. The Shadow of Soul had been here for 6 months, close enough to count the rivets on alien warships, but completely undetected. Her crew of 30 had become experts at staying perfectly still and perfectly quiet. "Captain, they are moving again," whispered her tactical officer, Lieutenant Kim Dae-hoon. Even though no one could hear them in the vacuum of space, everyone on the ship spoke in hushed tones. It had become a habit after months of hiding. Through the main view screen, Yoon Sora watched the massive alien fleet rearrange itself. There were over 300 ships, each one larger than anything Earth had ever built in public. The flagship alone was the size of a small moon, bristling with weapons that could crack planets in half. "They are so confident," she said quietly. "Look how they move. No defensive formations, no scouts watching for enemies. No, they think they are the only predators in the galaxy." Dr. Kung Tai-ho, the ship's science officer, studied the enemy vessels through his instruments. Their technology is impressive, but old. It's very old. Some of these ship designs have not changed in 1,000 years. Stopped innovating because they had no competition.
Ow.
The aliens had been gathering their fleet for weeks, preparing to destroy humanity. But they had no idea that human eyes were watching every move, recording every weakness, learning every secret. Incoming transmission from the alien flagship, reported Communications Officer Lee Soman. "They are discussing attack plans." "Captain." Yoon nodded. "Put it on speakers. Let us hear what they think of us." The bridge filled with the strange sounds of alien voices. After decades of study, every human officer could understand dozens of alien languages. The conversation made them all angry. "The human homeworld has only one moon," said a voice that sounded like grinding metal. "We will destroy it first, just to watch them panic?" "No," replied another voice, this one like the buzzing of giant insects. "We should capture some humans alive. My scientists want to study how such a primitive brain works." "Why waste time?" asked a third voice. "Their entire species could be eliminated in a single day. We have done it before to other worlds." The human crew listened in silent fury as the aliens discussed their planet like it was a pest to be exterminated. These creatures had destroyed entire civilizations for the crime of being different or weaker. "They really think we are helpless," whispered Lieutenant Kim. "They have no idea we are sitting right here, listening to everything." Captain Yoon smiled. Coldly, "Their arrogance is their weakness. They think in straight lines because they have been winning for so long. They cannot imagine someone might be smarter or more creative." Meanwhile, on the alien space station Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council continued their debates. High Counselor Zixmoth waved her purple tentacles as she spoke to the assembled representatives. "The humans have been completely silent for 5 days," she announced. Our jamming systems have cut off all their communications. They are trapped in their solar system like insects in a jar. The crystal being who represented the Zephyrians pulsed with satisfied light. My surveillance ships report no unusual activity. The humans are going about their normal routines. They work, they eat, they sleep. They have no idea their fate has been decided. Commander Velter's shell flashed with impatient colors. Then why are we still talking? My fleet is ready to move. We could be back here in a week with confirmation that the human problem is solved. Patience, said the metal jellyfish creature. We must follow proper procedures. The galactic laws require a formal declaration before we can eliminate an entire species. None of them noticed the slight distortion in space just outside their meeting chamber. The Phantom of Busan had been there for 3 months. Its hull perfectly invisible, sensors recording every word. Captain Park Ji-hoon watched the alien debate with growing disgust. These creatures called themselves civilized, but they were nothing more than bullies who had grown fat and lazy on easy victories. Sir, said his intelligence officer, we have identified the primary communication hub. One precise strike could cut off their entire fleet from their command structure. Not yet, Captain Park replied. We wait for the signal. Let them think they are safe a little longer. Across the galaxy, dozens of human ships maintained their silent vigil. They had been watching alien worlds for decades, learning about their enemies, preparing for this moment. The aliens had no idea that their most secret military bases had been observed and mapped, like their government buildings, their weapon factories, their civilian cities, all had been studied and cataloged by invisible human eyes. The waiting was the hardest part. Every human crew member wanted to strike back immediately, to show these arrogant aliens that Earth's children were not helpless prey. But the plan required patience. The aliens had to commit fully to their attack before humanity revealed its true strength. Captain, reported the communications officer on the Shadow of Seoul. We are receiving coded transmissions from Earth. Phase 2 is about to begin. Captain Yoon Sora felt her heart race with anticipation. Soon the aliens would learn that their prey had been watching them all along. The galaxy was about to discover that humanity's greatest weapon was not their technology, but their ability to hide, watch, and wait for the perfect moment to strike. The Watchers were about to become the Hunters. The vote was final. Every alien representative in the Galactic Council had agreed. Humanity would be destroyed completely, wiped from existence like a disease being cured. Commander Veltar's fleet of 300 warships prepared to leave. For Earth, their crews excited about the easy victory ahead. It will be over quickly, Veltar told his officers as they gathered in the flagship's command center. The humans have no idea we are coming, so by the time they see our ships, it will be too late to even send a distress signal. Away, Admiral Wang Jiang sat in her hidden command ship and watched the alien fleet through invisible sensors. She had been waiting for this moment her entire life. Her grandmother had been one of the first humans to detect alien signals. Her father had helped build the first stealth ships. Now it was her turn to show the galaxy what humans could really do. All ships, this is Admiral Huang, she spoke into her communications system. The enemy has revealed their true intentions. They plan to murder every man, woman, and child on Earth. Execute Operation Revelation. Show them that humanity does not go quietly into the night. Across the galaxy, 57 human ships received the signal. They had been waiting in the darkness for years, positioned near every major alien world, watching and learning. Now, it was time to reveal themselves. Captain Li Juan stood on the bridge of the Indomitable as it dropped out of hyperspace above. The crystal world of Zephyria, the alien homeworld, was beautiful, covered in cities that looked like giant diamonds reaching toward the sky. Millions of crystal beings lived there, completely unaware that death had been visiting their skies for months. Deactivate stealth systems, Captain Li ordered. The ship's hull stopped bending light around itself. Suddenly, 4 kilometers of human warship appeared directly above the alien capital city. The massive vessel blocked out their sun, casting a shadow over the entire continent. On the planet's surface, crystal beings looked up in terror as the impossible sight filled their sky. Their sensors, which had detected nothing moments before, now screamed warnings about the enormous ship hanging above them like a sword ready to fall. At the same time, above the ocean world of Aquatica, 3 human dreadnoughts materialized from empty space. The water-dwelling aliens had never seen anything so large and menacing. Their cities, built on floating platforms, suddenly seemed tiny and fragile beneath the human ships. Similar scenes played out across 47 different worlds. Every major alien civilization found their sky splitting open as massive human warships appeared from nowhere. Ships that had been invisible for years suddenly revealed themselves. In perfect coordination, the psychological effect was devastating. These aliens had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. Had never known fear, never felt helpless, never had to look up at the sky and wonder if death was coming from above. Now, in a single moment, they experienced the terror that countless other species had felt before being destroyed. "Hi, Counselor." Zixmoth was in her personal chambers on Nexus Prime when the alerts began screaming. Her tentacles writhed in panic as she watched the security feeds. Human ships were appearing everywhere, not just above alien worlds but inside their most secure facilities. "How is this possible?" she shrieked to her guards. "Our sensors show nothing. Our shields are impenetrable." But even as she spoke, the space around Nexus Prime began to shimmer like heat waves. The Defiant of Daegu slowly materialized inside the station's shields, its hull crackling with energies that made the alien technology spark and fail. Captain Yoon Sora walked calmly through the corridors of the space station, her security team behind her. Alien guards tried to stop them, but their weapons simply did not work. Human technology had advanced far beyond what the aliens thought possible. "Attention, people of the galaxy," Captain Lee, Guan's voice broadcast from every human ship simultaneously. The message went out in 47 different alien languages, reaching every world at the same time. "We are humanity. We have been listening to your debates. We have been watching your preparations. We are not impressed." The words sent shockwaves through alien civilization. The humans had been there all along, invisible, recording everything, learning every secret, the most classified military meetings. The most secure government facilities, the most hidden weapons, all had been observed by human eyes. "For 70 years you have ignored our attempts at peaceful contact," the broadcast continued. "You decided we were too primitive to matter. You chose to discuss our extinction like we were insects to be crushed. You were wrong." On the crystal world of Zephyria, the alien government tried desperately to contact their military, but human ships had cut off all their communications. They were alone, defenseless, watching as the massive human warship hung motionless above. "Their capital city could destroy your worlds as easily as you planned to destroy ours," the human message concluded. "Your fleets, your weapons, your shields, all are useless against technology you never imagined possible. But we are not like you. We do not murder entire species for the crime of being different." The galaxy held its breath. Every alien world waited to see if the humans would carry out the same genocide they had planned for Earth. Children hid in their homes, while their parents stared at the impossible ships filling their skies. The age of alien superiority was over. The hunters had become the hunted, and they finally understood what it meant to be prey. The Grand Assembly of Nexus Prime had become a place of chaos and terror. Alien representatives who had ruled the galaxy for millennia now cowered in their seats as the massive human warship Defiant of Daegu sat motionless inside their supposedly impenetrable shields. The ship's hull glowed with strange energies that made their most advanced sensors scream warnings they could not understand.
Captain
Yoon Sora walked slowly down the central aisle of the assembly hall. Her black uniform was perfectly pressed. Her boots clicked sharply against the crystal floor, and her face showed no emotion. Behind her, 6 human soldiers followed in perfect formation, their weapons holstered but ready. They moved like predators who knew their prey could not escape. "Honored representatives," Captain Yoon began, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber's translation systems, "we meet at last. Not as the primitives you thought we were, but as equals, or perhaps as your superiors." Commander Veltares, shell flickered with patterns of confusion and fear. His species had not felt such emotions in over 1,000 years. "This is impossible," he stammered. "Our science says your stealth technology cannot exist. Matter cannot simply become invisible." "Your science is limited," Captain Yoon replied calmly. "Yeah, you stop learning when you stop facing challenges. You became comfortable as the strongest predators in the galaxy. That comfort made you weak." High Counselor Zixmoth's tentacles writhed in agitation. "How long have you been able to travel between stars? How long have you been watching us?" "Since 1952, Captain Yoon answered. The simple statement sent shockwaves. "Through the assembly, we achieved faster-than-light travel 73 years ago. We have been observing your civilizations ever since." Dr. Kim Hanna's image appeared on holographic displays throughout the chamber. From her command center deep beneath Earth's ocean, she looked directly at the alien representatives who had planned humanity's extinction. "We chose silence not from fear, but from wisdom," she explained. "We wanted to understand our galactic neighbors before revealing ourselves. What we found was deeply disappointing. The crystal being who represented the Zephyrians pulsed with dim, frightened light. You have been among us for decades, watching our worlds, our cities, our people. Every world, every military base, every government facility," Dr. Kim confirmed. "We mapped your defenses, learned your languages, studied your weaknesses. We know more about your civilizations than you know about yourselves." The metal jellyfish creature's voice trembled as it spoke. "Wow. Then why did you not reveal yourselves? Why hide for so long?" Captain Yoon smiled, but it was not a pleasant expression. "Because we learned what kind of beings you really are. We listened to your debates about lesser species. We watched you destroy entire civilizations for the crime of being different. We saw you plan our extinction like exterminators discussing pest control. You are murderers," Dr. Kim continued, her voice cold with controlled anger. "You call yourselves civilized, but you are nothing more than bullies who have grown fat on easy victories. You have never faced an opponent who could fight back." The alien representatives looked around the chamber in growing panic. Outside, human warships hung in the sky above their homeworlds like swords ready to fall. Fleets, their weapons, their mighty civilizations, all were suddenly revealed. As helpless before this species they had dismissed as primitive. "What do you want?" Commander Veltar asked, his shell now flickering with patterns of complete surrender. "We want what we have always wanted," Captain Yoon replied. "Peace, cooperation, the chance to explore the galaxy together instead of alone. But we want it as equals, not as your slaves or your victims." She gestured to her soldiers, who stepped forward with a large device that projected a holographic document into the center of the chamber. "This is the new Galactic Accord," she announced. "It establishes rules for all species to follow. No more genocides. No more destroying civilizations because they seem weak or different. No more deciding the fate of entire worlds in secret meetings." High Counselor Zixmoth's tentacles curled in what might have been resignation. "And if we refuse?" Captain Yoon's expression did not change. "Then you will learn what it feels like to be the helpless ones. Our ships are positioned above every major world in the galaxy. We could end your civilizations as easily as you plan to end ours. But we will not," Dr. Kim added from her holographic projection. "We are not like you. We do not murder entire species for convenience. We offer you a choice. Join us as equals in building a better galaxy, or face the consequences of your past actions."
Oh.
Every alien representative signed the new Galactic Accord, their appendages shaking as they agreed to humanity's terms. The age of alien supremacy was over. As the meeting ended, Captain Yoon walked back to her ship. Behind her, the alien representatives sat in stunned silence, trying to understand how their perfect world had changed so completely in a single day. "Captain," her communications officer reported, "we are receiving surrender signals from alien fleets throughout the galaxy. They are requesting permission to return to their homeworlds." "Granted," Captain Yoon replied. "But they do so under human observation. The galaxy has new guardians now." The stars themselves seemed different as news of humanity's revelations spread. Children on distant worlds looked up at the night sky and whispered stories about the species that had hidden among them for decades. watching, learning. Waiting for the right moment to emerge from the shadows, the galaxy's greatest predators had finally met their match.